It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show, where we talk about real estate here in the Charleston area. And if this is your first time tuning in, I like to take regional news, local news, even national news, and I like to tie that into what's happening here in Charleston. And then, of course, share my experiences as somebody that's been in the top 1% of the real estate agent population every year for the past decade, so that you know what I'm experiencing on the front lines here. You have realistic expectations about this market, and you can use the information that I share with you to prepare for the process of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. That's what this show is all about. So a few just kind of housekeeping items. If you'd like to reach out to me and you'd like to learn more about working with me and my team to help you sell real estate, my number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Feel free to reach out to me if you want to talk about your situation, maybe just do some planning, answer some general knowledge questions about the buying or selling process. Of course, we still work with a lot of investors, and so if you have questions about that as well, you can, of course, give me a call or text me, 843-345-1273, or you can go to my website. A lot of great information on there, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about the value of your home. Search, of course, the MLS. Everything available in the Charleston area is available on my website. You can learn a lot about the process by checking out some of the information we have on the site. And you can listen to every version of the radio show that we've done over the past 6 years, a little more than that, on charlestonrealestateradio.com. And then lastly, this show is on, it's a podcast as well, so you can check us out on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, any of your streaming devices, we're there. So charlestonrealestateradio.com, or, of course, my website for real estate, listingsincharleston.com, or give me a call at 843-345-1273. So let me tell you what I want to talk about this show. It's been a little while since we've talked about just the market in general. I want to give you some very specific information and examples that help answer the question of what in the world is going on in the market right now. It's a very confusing time, not just for buyers and sellers, but also for real estate agents. I'm finding that a lot of real estate agents out there have misinformation about this market. And that might be because they're just not researching it. It might be because they're not ingrained in the market in a big way. They're not doing a ton of transactions, so they're not experiencing it for themselves. But I want to give you an idea of what's going on in this market and how different some of the different areas of Charleston can be. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, as a result of the change in the market, the increase in overpriced listings that I'm seeing, why agents take them, why they're not reducing the price, why sellers aren't getting the information they need to make an informed decision, and what's the result of that? What happens when you don't adjust your strategy accordingly? Pricing strategy is what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about how to approach this market if you're a buyer. You know, what do you do? Are you looking in an area where properties are still selling very quickly and in some instances for above asking price? While you're also hearing stories from folks like me saying, hey, the market is soft in some areas. It really just boils down to which area and which price range you're looking in and the trends that surround that specific area. So that's what we have planned for the show, and I'm going to get right into it because, you know, we've had for, I can't tell you how long at this point, but the main challenge that we have had in our market is that inventory has continued to go down. The challenge is, as the inventory goes down, prices go up because of just supply and demand, right? The less options there are, the more a buyer is willing to pay for that same property. We've also, for a very long time now, had very inexpensive money to borrow. Interest rates have been low. Now, last year, beginning of third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, interest rates went up. They were at 5.5%. And thankfully, the Federal Reserve has, very recently announced that, not very recently, it was last month, but that interest rate hikes are done for 2019. And given the fact that the federal funds rate has increased 9 times over the past 3 years, that's obviously great news for us. And what you need to understand is that the rates that the Federal Reserve control, that's not the mortgage interest rate, right? Fed actions affect mortgage rates, but they're not necessarily directly linked. There are a ton of things that factor into what determines what a lender will charge you in the form of an interest rate. And so when I look at just the market in general, obviously we don't have April stats yet, but when I look at March, at the end of March, I want to read some of these stats, and then I really want to get more specific here and help you understand just how different some of these markets are. So market-wide, new listings are up, and this is year-to-date through March compared to the first 3 months of last year, right? So new listings are up 4%. Pending sales or properties that go under contract are up 5%. Closings are down 5%. The days on market has stayed the same. The median sales price is up 4.2%. The percent of original asking price received is down about 1%. So properties, you can look at that as saying properties are being overpriced by 1% more than usual. The housing affordability index is now at 104. That's down 5%. That has continued to trend downward, meaning affordability has become more and more of an issue for buyers. And then when we look at overall inventory, at the end of March, we had a little over 5,600 homes available for sale, 5,654 to be exact. In March of 2018, we had 5,849. So inventory is down a little over 3%. And as a result of everything we're selling, the month's supply of inventory is down 2.6%. So on the surface level, it appears as though we are still kind of trending toward a seller's market, or at least we're fairly confident in saying that market-wide, we're in a seller's market. But when we start to look at certain things, and when you start asking your real estate agent, hey, why hasn't my home sold? There's a reason. One of the things that we don't focus on very often in this program, because I have to, frankly, kind of manually do the data here, and I've done a lot of that for the show just to give you some real-life examples. But if you look at the price reductions that we've had, this was as of Thursday of this week. So far in 2019, we've had 2,602 price reductions. If you looked at the same amount of time last year, we had 2,206. So we've had a 15% increase in price reductions, and we have less homes available for sale. So as this market starts to shift, as areas start to soften in the form of demand, sellers have a choice. Agents have a choice. They can either have those conversations, they can make those adjustments, or what most owners will do, or what most agents will do, is they'll say, hey, we're getting some showings. No, we haven't had any offers yet, but let's just hold the line. Let's just stay where we are, and let's just hope that a buyer walks through the door and makes us an offer. That's one strategy. The other strategy is, hey, this market is shifting right in front of us, and under the assumption that an agent is providing you with that data and even knows how to do it or what to look for, can severely change your perspective of the market and then your strategy associated with selling your property in that particular market. So I looked at 3 different areas, and I wanted to draw some corollaries here. So I looked at, for the past 6 months, I looked at single-family homes in West Ashley, Somerville, and Mount Pleasant. And so these are pre-owned homes. I did not include new construction because when you do, it really skews the stats. But if you look in West Ashley, $250,000 to $400,000, closings stayed relatively the same. They're down 5%. Pending contracts also stayed relatively the same, but they're down 3.4%. But the number of listings for sale in March of 2018 in West Ashley between $250,000 and $400,000 was 49. We're now at 80. That's a 60% increase in the number of listings available for sale. As a result, showings are down 25%. We had 99 price changes last year. We've had 121 price changes this year. That's an 18% increase in price reductions. But you have to look at that number relative to the number of homes that are on the market. So yeah, we've had a 25% increase an 18% increase in price reductions, but we've had a 60% increase in inventory, which means that we're not keeping pace. That market is shifting. It's still a hot market in some instances, but the challenge, and what I'm going to tell you a little bit later on here, is that the difference between the original asking price and the ultimate sales price, that gap is starting to get wider. That's one of the things that we look at when we're talking to our clients about the market. What should we expect? What's the overall trend in the market right now? How can we use that information to our advantage and position ourselves accordingly through our marketing, through our ability to represent your home in a really attractive way, do some things to the home that a buyer might want or beat you up on once they get their home inspection, to really solidify the value in the mind of the buyer. But anyways, that's what's going on in West Ashley. So now let's look at Somerville, same price range, $250,000 to $400,000. Closings are up 15%. Remember in West Ashley, they're down 5%. Pending contracts are up 28%. They're down 4% in West Ashley. The listings for sale in March of 2018 was 263. The listings for sale in March of 2019, last month, was 248. It's actually down 6%. So inventory's down 6% in Somerville. It's up 60% in West Ashley. And showings are up 10% in Somerville. So clearly still a very hot market. Less homes available for sale. Closings are going up. Pendings are going up. 28% increase in pending contracts is a big number. But so is 60% increase in listings in West Ashley. That's a very big number. But then let's look at something like Mount Pleasant. $500,000 to $750,000 is the stat that I pulled. Closings are down 11%. Pending contracts are down 4%. Listings have stayed relatively the same. We had 168 properties available for sale in March of last year. Last month, we had 162. But showings are down 16%. We had 139 price changes last year. We had 151 price changes so far this year. That's an 8% increase in price changes. But overall, if you look at the entire market, so far this year, we've had about 2,600 price reductions. Last year, we had 2,200, so 15% increase in price reductions. Here's the takeaway on this. As of right now, we have fewer homes available for sale than we did last year. Not by much, but we do have, slightly less inventory available for sale. So even with fewer homes available for sale, we've had a 15% increase in price reductions. So the trend to watch, again, is the difference between the original asking price and the ultimate sales price. Starting around summer of 2017, the difference between the original asking price and the ultimate sales price has grown larger over time. In other words, people are putting their home on the market at a slightly higher price than everything else that's on the market, and they're selling for a larger discount than in years past. So again, the takeaway from that is if you're going to overprice your house, you're going to end up selling it, of course, for less than what you may have been able to generate for that property had you priced it appropriately. There is a clear difference for us when we price a property that represents fair market value or maybe even 1% or 2% under fair market value, and then getting multiple offers, choosing the best offer not just in the form of price, but also in the form of terms. When we have multiple people bidding against one another, we get to be very selective with who we choose to work with. And the buyers, as a result of having competition, normally take out all the fluff that's in the contract that end up costing you money or inconvenience as a seller. And we're going to talk about both sides of this when we come back. We're going to talk about overpriced listings, why do agents take them, and why overpricing your home right now in most areas is a mistake, and what can happen to your home as a result of that. And we're also going to talk about how do you approach this market if you're a buyer. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. And of course, if you want to reach out to me to talk about your specific area, you want to know what's happening in your neck of the woods, your area, your price range, what those expectations are, what those trends are, what your home is worth right now, and what it could be worth, say, 90 days down the road if that trend continues, then give me a call, 843 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or visit me online, listingsincharleston.com. We'll be right back with more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com right after this.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.